What happens when a family that looked absolutely perfect from the outside completely falls apart on the inside? Nicole Kidman, Keith Urban, two of Hollywood's most beloved stars, and 19-year marriage that the entire world called a fairy tale. And now, their own daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, are reportedly refusing to accept their father's new life. Sources claim Sunday Rose unfollowed Keith Urban on Instagram. The girls are said to be ignoring his texts, refusing to meet the people now surrounding him, and according to insiders close to the family, Keith is utterly heartbroken. But the real question nobody is asking out loud is this: what exactly happened inside that family to make two daughters turn their backs on their own father this completely? Stay with me, because what is really happening behind closed doors is far more emotional and far more complicated than any headline is telling you. To understand why this family feud is shaking Hollywood right now, you first have to understand what Nicole and Keith were to the world. They met in January 2005 at a G'day USA gala in Los Angeles. Nicole was coming off a devastating divorce from Tom Cruise. She was guarded, vulnerable, rebuilding, and then Keith Urban walked into the room. Within months, they were inseparable. They married in June 2006 in Sydney, Australia, a private, intimate ceremony surrounded by close friends and family. And unlike so many Hollywood couples, they seemed genuinely in love, not performatively, not for the cameras, real. They had Sunday Rose in 2008. Faith Margaret arrived in 2010 via surrogate. For nearly 2 decades, this looked like the rare Hollywood love story that actually worked. Keith publicly called Nicole his anchor. Nicole teared up talking about him at award ceremonies. They held hands on red carpets like they were still dating. They built a life in Nashville, a real-life school runs. Sunday dinners, quiet evenings away from the spotlight. The world believed it. And then September 2025 happened. September 2025, after 19 years of marriage, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban officially separated. The announcement sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. Nobody saw it coming, or at least nobody wanted to see it coming. By January 2026, the divorce was finalized, and the custody arrangement. According to sources familiar with the proceedings, Nicole is awarded primary custody, approximately 306 days per year with Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. Keith receives the girls every other weekend. Every other weekend for a man who co-parented for 15 plus years and was by all accounts a hands-on dad. That is a staggering reduction. And sources suggest that the custody split didn't just wound Keith professionally or publicly, it wounded him personally, but that wasn't even the most shocking part. Shortly after the separation became public, eagle-eyed fans noticed something that sent social media into a complete frenzy. Sunday Rose, Nicole and Keith's eldest daughter, had quietly unfollowed her father on Instagram. No statement, no explanation, just gone. Now, teenagers unfollow people all the time. But this wasn't just anyone, this was her father, a globally famous musician with millions of followers. And the timing, right in the middle of one of the most painful periods their family had ever faced. The internet noticed immediately, screenshots spread everywhere. But according to insiders, the Instagram unfollow was just the surface of something much deeper. Sources claim that both Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret have been largely non-responsive to Keith's attempts to reach out. Text messages going unanswered, phone calls met with silence. And when Keith has tried to arrange time with his daughters beyond the court-ordered visits, sources say the girls have made it quietly, painfully clear that they are standing firmly by their mother's side. Imagine your own daughter doing this to you. Not screaming, not arguing, just silence. That cold, deliberate silence that says everything without saying a single word. According to people close to the situation, Keith is described as desperate, heartbroken in a way that his public appearances are barely hiding. One insider reportedly said he feels like he is losing not just his marriage, but his family, and there is more. Rumors began circulating that Keith has been seen spending time with someone new, a rumored new girlfriend whose identity sources have kept carefully guarded. And according to those close to Nicole's camp, the girls are flatly refusing to meet her, refusing to sit at the same table, refusing to be in the same room. Then came the interview moment that nobody missed. During a public appearance, Sunday Rose, poised, composed, clearly her mother's daughter, spoke warmly and glowingly about Nicole. About their bond, their closeness, their future together, Keith's name never mentioned, not once. In Hollywood, what isn't said is often louder than what is, and that silence spoke volumes. So why is this happening? What could drive two daughters this far from their father? Let's be honest, there are no simple answers here. But if you read between the lines of everything sources have shared, a few possible explanations start to take shape. First, loyalty. When parents divorce, children often feel an instinctive pull toward the parent they perceive as having been hurt. And if, as some sources suggest, Nicole's version of events has resonated emotionally with the girls, it is not hard to understand which side of the room they're standing in. Second, the custody arrangement itself. Going from a full-time father to an every other weekend schedule is jarring. For the daughters, that shift may feel like Keith chose to leave, even if the legal reality is far more complicated. Third, Keith's touring schedule. Throughout their marriage, sources noted that Keith's music career kept him on the road for months at a time. Is it possible the girls felt that absence for years and the divorce simply gave them permission to finally express it? And fourth, the rumored new relationship. Nothing fractures a parent-child bond faster after a divorce than the introduction of someone new. If the girls feel that Keith has moved on too quickly, that pain can harden into something that looks a lot like rejection. Sources say Nicole has been careful not to speak negatively about Keith to the girls, but sometimes children don't need to be told what to feel. They simply feel it. Fast forward to 2026 and Nicole Kidman appears to be publicly at least moving forward. At the 2026 Met Gala, Sunday Rose walked alongside her mother on one of fashion's biggest nights. The photos are striking, a mother and daughter shoulder to shoulder, glowing and composed. Nicole posted about the evening with a caption that sources interpreted as quietly symbolic, something about looking forward and new chapters. Keith, meanwhile, has been noticeably quieter on social media. His public appearances have carried a kind of heaviness that even casual observers have picked up on. According to sources, he has been making genuine efforts to reconnect with his daughters, writing letters, showing up to court-ordered visits, reaching out through mutual family members. But sources say the walls remain high. So what happens now? Can this family find its way back to something that resembles peace? Co-parenting after a high-profile divorce is hard enough without a public family feud layered on top. But here is what we know about human nature and about family. Teenage girls grow up. Perspectives shift. Wounds heal if the effort is genuine and consistent. And sources suggest Keith isn't giving up. Not even close. The question isn't whether he wants a relationship with his daughters. Anyone who watched him with those girls over the years knows the answer to that. The question is whether Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret will one day be ready to separate the father they love from the choices that hurt them. That is not a Hollywood story. That is just life. At the end of the day, behind the headlines and the Instagram unfollows and the red carpet appearances, there are two teenage girls navigating something that no amount of fame or money makes easier. There is a father who, according to every source close to him, loves his daughters deeply and is living with the fear that he may have lost them. And there is Nicole Kidman, a woman who spent nearly 2 decades building a life and is now quietly rebuilding it with her daughters walking right beside her. Hollywood watches, the world speculates, but the real story, it is playing out in text messages that don't get replied to, in bedrooms with closed doors, in the aching silence between a dad's phone call and a daughter who isn't sure she is ready to answer. That is the story nobody can fully see. And sometimes those are the only ones that truly matter, so I want to hear from you. Do you think Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret will eventually reconcile with Keith Urban? Or has too much damage already been done? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.